Hello and welcome to another edition of DK and Gray. My name's Dave Kennedy and joining me as always is Gray Morris from NT News. Gray, the finals are here, but can anyone beat St Mary's?
Well, that's what they're saying. Who can beat St Mary's? I believe they can be beaten. I think you'll need 4 quarters of football, of course. You'll need plenty of pace. And you'll need someone up in front of goals who can kick a few against the likes of Johnny Anstis and Iggy Valaja.
They were very impressive on the weekend and they go into the week off full of steam. How do you see them getting beaten?
Well, as I said, pace, I think, is one factor that St Mary's haven't got in big amounts. But they have got, as you say, they're very good around the ground, very good everywhere else. But I just reckon if a team like Wanderers and even Nightcliff can sort of kick a few goals early and calm themselves down, man up, play smart football, St Mary's can be beaten.
Well, it would be an impressive feat to see St Mary's beaten. Gray, I did a little bit of research myself during the week. 500 days on Tuesday since they've been beaten back on October 6, 2012 down at Traeger Park, the last time they were beaten. So an incredible winning effort from them.
And that particular game, of course, they were miles in front too, and the Alice Springside ran over them in the last quarter.
Well, they will no doubt enjoy the week off. Well, at 3:15 this Saturday here at TIO Stadium, the TIO NTFL Always Wear Your Seatbelt Final Series begins with Wanderers taking on Nightcliff. Gray, this is a very interesting game. Wanderers go into the game with poor form, Nightcliff with a few good wins on the board.
On a bit of a roll, the Tigers, David. They've won the last 4 games, and as you say, Wanderers have crashed in the last couple, particularly last week. 100-odd points losing to St Mary's looked awful. Can the Tigers go through and meet St Mary's the following week? That's the question everyone's asking. I believe they can.
How do you see Wanderers rebuilding and regrouping after some really poor performances?
Well, David, you talk about rebuilding. I spoke to the coach this afternoon, Paul Motlop. 10 changes this week for a major final. I mean, it wouldn't happen anywhere else in Australia probably, except Darwin. Wanderers have done it before and they've won premierships before too. The old timers at Wanderers told me that back in '93, which I know is 20 years ago, but they were beaten by St Mary's by the same margin the last round of that season and came out and won the flag 1 month later. So weird things happen in Darwin football.
Both teams had their best and fairest on the weekend. Shane Thorne taking out the Wanderers' best and fairest, while for Nightcliff, the big fella Seb Gilhouse prevailed in their best and fairest. Both of them very, very important players in this clash.
Very, very worthy winners of their club. BNFs too, as you say. Yes, they'll be very important guys out here too. Big Seb in the ruck in the middle, getting them going. Of course, Shane Thorne up forward for Wanderers.
What about conditions? Do they play a part? If it's raining, does that change your mindset on the game, or if it's very wet underfoot?
Well, it does, because it'll slow Wanderers down. Although these two sides met early in the season, you would recall, on a wet day, and Wanderers won easily. So trying to find a form guide in NT football, particularly in the finals, Dave, very tough.
Always very tough, and with the changes, it doesn't help the situation either. That game, of course, coming to you live and exclusive on ABC TV from 3:15 here at TIO Stadium. Well, in the next game, the winner plays on and the loser will be eliminated. Elimination final between Southern Districts and Waratahs. Gray, both teams go in with poor form, and it's hard to pick a winner in this game.
Poor form, yes, I agree. Although Waratahs have won their last couple, as their players have explained to me the last few days. So they were coming off, I think, a 5-game losing streak. But there's a bit of confidence out there at Waratahs. Districts we saw beat the Tiwi Bombers just last week, so at least they're coming in with winning form. But yeah, as I said earlier in the early game, Dave, very hard to find a form guide on this one. Districts will start favourites because they've got a better looking forward line, but anything can happen once again.
Districts have got their fair share of stars, as we've spoken about. They've got the likes of Des Headland, Jared Brennan, Troy Taylor, and those type of players. They're going to be important in making up that Southern District side.
One player that will be very important for Districts this week is Damien Cupido too. He comes back. He's big and strong, and down there in that forward line against the what you call a light-looking Waratah forward line, he could cause chaos.
The way that Brenton Toyer's approached the Waratahs forward line this year has been interesting. A lot of times we've seen those players try to kick the ball over the top and let their smaller forwards run onto the ball. How do you think that game style works for Waratahs against a team like Southern Districts?
Well, the District's defence, as we know, can be a bit loose at times, and if Waratahs can do that consistently enough, they will certainly kick enough score to win. So very interesting. They're going to have to use plenty of pace and plenty of smarts as well.
How do you see the winner progressing in the final series? Do you think that they're going to have an impact later on in the final series?
Hard to see them beating either Nightcliff or Wanderers, who they obviously have to play the week after, but they've got the players. It's I think this is where it comes back to the coaches. You just touched on Brent and Toy then. Also comes back to both coaches to get it inside the ears, in between the ears perhaps, or I should say, of the players, that they can go further than just this week.
Well, what an interesting game that should be. That game coming to you live and exclusive on #AFL NTV. Make sure you join the coverage. I know you'll be watching it live, Gray, and
For sure.
myself and Brad Stewart look forward to bringing you the game on #AFL NTV. It would be remiss of me not to ask you for a tip today, Gray, and this time I'm going to go one step further, ask you for the margin. So Wanderers taking on Nightcliff.
Had a feeling this was coming, David, from you. Wanderers and Nightcliff, I'm going to go Wanderers by 17 points, regardless of the 10 changes.
Interesting. And Southern Districts and Waratahs.
Southern Districts will win. They'll be just a little bit too smart for Waratahs. They'll win by 19 points.
Some interesting tips there. We look forward to seeing how it all pans out. Gray, enjoy the footy this weekend.
I will, for sure.
We look forward to seeing everything unfold. But from us here today, I'm DK.
I'm Gray.
This is DK and Gray.
Bonfire.